Hey, this is Stephen Amell, and you are listening to Tomorrow's Legends, the podcast. Don't fail your city.
You think you know the story. You've heard it 100 times. But this is not the tale that you know, for this part of the story has yet to be written. Join Flash, Harley, and X-Force 11 as they take the Waverider into the near future and check in on some old friends. This is the new adventures of Superman and Lois, as chronicled by Tomorrow's Legends.
That is right. Hello, Superfam. Welcome back to Tomorrow's Legends. We are back in Smallville this week, following the adventures of Superman and Lois, and we're covering Season 1, Episode 14, The Eradicator. And you know what? Our fans, they probably didn't even know we were there. Like, we had to come back to Smallville. We've been gone for a couple weeks. I bet you they didn't realize that during that whole battle that we saw, we landed in Smallville, realized Superman needed us. He called for help. We took off to Metropolis, and there was more than 4 Kryptonians taking over. They just didn't see me. I was running around, taking them out while Superman's fighting in the sky. And what I don't think they realized about you is that whole blue wave that was encompassing Edge, that was actually you trying to stop him with your blue lantern ring, right?
Yeah, I just hadn't worked really well with Superman and Irons yet to let them know. We didn't have our comms down, so I couldn't let them know. I'm trying to stop him.
Exactly. So we were there. We were part of the fight, guys. But anyway, I am the Flash.
And I'm X-Force 11.
Hello, Legends.
And Gideon is here too. She always comes with us to whatever town we go visit. So
yes, indeed.
Well, let's get into this. What is our impressions and ratings of this? What do they call this when it's the second last? Is the penultimate? Is that the word?
Penultimate, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 8.5 overwhelming attacks. You've got Smallville under attack from angry people, loss of business, and more. You've got Edge and his new Kryptonians attacking Metropolis. Plus, he goes after Clark's family. I loved every minute of this episode. The stakes are so high. And I'm happy to be podcasting about this show and hopeful that we get many more seasons just like this one.
Oh, I'm so with you. Yeah, I'm feeling very fortunate to get to be podcasting this with you guys. And yeah, it's so good. So I'm also giving it an 8.5 hammer throws.
Nice.
And like you were saying, it is so good to be back with the Man of Steel. And it's kind of funny because in truth, it kind of actually sucks that a Superman TV show is better than my own namesake TV show, The Flash. But it's just such a night and day difference in writing caliber and performances that I bow to its greatness. So this one was on edge from the very start, and I don't mean Morgan Edge. It was just on edge from the very start. The tension was palpable, and I love how it just carries from the last episode. Even though it does say 3 weeks later, the story just flows right into it. It just kept going. Now, there is something that I want to knock it for a little bit here, which is why my rating isn't higher, and that's, I think, how they cut this episode up. I felt like, after watching it a couple times, I felt like the points at which they decided to change scenes was a little bit jarring and kind of killed the flow that the sequence we were just in had built up. Because what they were doing, they were building tension with the town, they were building tension with Edge, and then they'd cut to the kids partying or hanging out at the diner or the teenage love struggles or whatever, and that just didn't work for me. That wasn't a smooth transition because there was way too much going on with the tension and the build-up to cut to the just teenagers being teenagers. Like, I could have done without any of that teenager stuff entirely as we deal with what's really important, what's really exciting. Or I think maybe, being a video editor, this is just my opinion, I think do all the kid stuff, do all the town fighting stuff, the town hall, people yelling at Sam Lane, do all that, get that out of the way early, make that the first part of the episode, and just have everything build up slowly, and then hit us with the big action and tension sequence of the entire confrontation, and make that the last 15 minutes of the episode, and just let it go straight through, because, like I said, every time they came back to that, I'm on the edge of my seat, and just going, holy crap, what? And then they cut to the teenagers, and I'm totally deflated. So anyway, I just think that would have played better and had smoother flow if they did something like that. But in the end, the action. I'll end with how holy crap that some of the amazing action was this week, because
yes.
the hits were hard. You remember when I complained about whoever was directing didn't know how to direct the fight properly, and I thought that the hits were a bit off? This episode, compare the two. You could feel and hear every hit. It was bone crunching, and you actually saw the punches connecting, and that to me makes the fight more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
The destruction was also bang on and super realistic as well. It wasn't over the top. I mean, they showed it. What I loved is they showed it from a citizen's perspective in
Right.
Metropolis. Like, there's this guy in his office talking on the phone, and all of a sudden he notices something coming towards the window, and it's Superman tackling, with a guy or wrestling with a guy in midair, and holy shit, and he drops to the ground, and they fly right through his office. Awesome. That's what it would look like to witness a Superman fighting. Or when someone else looked up in the sky and we're the camera's on the ground, but we look up and we see Superman getting attacked, and they fly right through another skyscraper, through it. The glass shatters and they come out the other side, and there's bits flying. I'm like, oh my God, that's what it would be like to be there and witness that. Not the entire city falling apart. It's these little moments. And I mean, that's what this show just excels. I mean, they excel at the drama and the acting and everything, but the action sequences, they really, really nail most of the time.
Yeah, I agree. It was really spot on, and I like the effects like you talked about and how they worked it. So they did a wonderful job this episode. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next.
Oh man, yeah. We'll talk about that at the end. Like, what could it possibly? How's it going to end? But yeah, all right. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, and I think we're going to start with Clark, as we seem to usually do.
Yeah, let's do that. So I appreciate this because Clark is really heartbroken at how Smallville is just seemingly wasting away, with Edge's money's gone, the DOD is scaring people, and just so much more. And you just really feel his heart for the town and see his distress there, and I like how that was played.
Well, yeah, I mean, his friends deciding to leave town. He's feeling helpless. He doesn't know what to do, because this isn't something that Superman can save. He just can't. This is out of his power, which is kind of funny. It's not that kind of problem where his Superman abilities are going to be able to tackle these issues. He can't do anything, and he feels helpless, and it's hard on him. I mean, and I liked how he calls Lana his best friend. I mean, we don't hear that very much, and it's neat that he still thinks that about her, and I really like the moment that they had together. It was really cool. So, which kind of goes into my next point, because I want to talk about Tyler here, Tyler Hoechlin. He's so great at being Clark. Those scenes when he went to visit Lana and try to convince his best friend to stay, he was so undeniably friendly and cute and welcoming and just so innocent looking. It's so endearing. Like, it's not cheesy, it's not gag me, it's endearing. And I mean, he's got that country farm boy good-heartedness and good wholesomeness just nailed down to a T.
Yeah, I really appreciate. It's hard because being that character, you're both playing Clark and you're playing Superman, and some of the actors play one better than the other, and I think he's building that balance really well. I mean, it's a hard line to walk, but he's doing a great job. I just really appreciate Tyler's acting in this episode in a lot of different points.
Exactly, yeah.
So I liked that he and Lois are still great parents. They're checking in on Jordan's love life, making sure, that not going too fast, and, even wanting to send John as chaperone, but John is spending time with Irons, and I like how there's so much going on in their lives, but yet their family comes first, and I really appreciate how they're trying to make this balance there.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Jonathan's response when Lois suggests, he's like, "Oh, heck no, I'm not playing chaperone to all that." And then I equally love that John comes back at them with such good points that Clark just says, "All right, stop making so much sense. Just go." I mean, it was a great moment.
Yeah. So I like the fact that we've at the beginning of this season we had the adversarial relationship between Superman and Irons, and now we've got this great team in the making of the two of them working together to track down Edge and Larr. And just even the fact that they are working together, but they are being almost overwhelmed by the Kryptonians and Edge's shields. I mean, it was just cool to see that team up, but just shows you how powerful these, enemies that they're going up against are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what I like about their partnership is they seem to just understand each other already. They have these little signals and can communicate what needs to be done without saying too much. And that, to me, is really fun to watch. That's like being buddies. That's like being teammates. They're developing that already. So I'm imagining that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that we don't see, in between episodes they're able to work on that.
Yeah, during that 3-week break, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I just, man, like I was saying, some of those scenes were so amazing with those guys. I mean, when Superman flew through that building, it was like a meteor hit it. That's what I was trying to describe earlier. It's like a meteor, like when you remember the old movie Armageddon, and the meteors are just ripping through New York and destroying that's what it reminded me of. When the Kryptonian drags him through another building and the guy on the phone just ducks in time, like I was saying, I always wondered what those kind of things would look like when Superman's defending your city. And all of these scenes with him, because we also had Irons, we saw him tackling the one guy, and they fly down through all the skyscrapers and land right in the park and just boom. And I mean, can you imagine being a bystander just watching this happen? It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, are we going to get him called Steel in the next episode, or are we going to have to wait till next season? Because I think, seeing him maybe add the emblem, or at least be given a name so he's not just Superman's friend. I don't know, but I'd really like to see that. But maybe they'll hold that off till next season. Who knows?
Well, I think they're just calling him Irons right now. That's really all they've said, eh?
Well, I mean, but to the public, they've just said that he's a friend helping out Superman. So
that's true.
But
right.
Having a public name, but we'll see. And at the end, bringing up Tyler's acting again, the heartbreaking scene, seeing him search for Jordan and not finding him, just the intensity of him listening, and that's hard acting, because you've got to show on your face that you're intensely listening to everything on Earth to find your son, and show that with the emotion, and then just to see him come land and tell Lois, and just being so dejected, and just the tears there. I mean, just such powerful acting from Tyler there.
Well, and you got to imagine, to what you were saying, in that scene, if you want to come out of the fantasy of it all, he's suspended by cables up in the air in front of a green screen and having to bring up that emotion. Like, that is good acting. So, but I'll talk about him and Lois part when we get to our favorite scenes, hint, hint. But to touch on it, what you were saying, we have never seen Superman upset like that before. I can't recall ever seeing Superman be scared, be upset, be crying because he can't do something. And this, again, Tyler's bringing something to the role that we've never seen before. But so I'll get more into that, when our scenes come up. But what I was wondering here, or during the scene, I was like, why doesn't he hear them struggling when Edge attacks the car? Doesn't he hear everything? And then, but then I was like, wait a second. They've kind of already shown us that he has to focus on certain things. He could open up and listen to everything all at once, like he did when he flew up above the Earth there. But he has to purposely do that. So it kind of explains what we were asking about in earlier episodes, that he has to focus on hearing certain things to pick it out of the noise. And that was shown here. Like, he could not hear his sons unless they use the ETF thing. Then that immediately gets to him. That's the signal he knows to listen for. But just them struggling in a fight, I don't think he's going to notice that unless he tunes it in and says, okay, where are my boys? And he listens for them. Right.
It's a car wreck. And, there are car wrecks all over the world happening, at the same time. And so because Edge was silent during that entire time. So even if he was listening for Edge's voice and things like that, he wouldn't have heard it. So, yeah, it's just tough.
It is tough. Yeah. Yeah, we'll come back to that scene in a little bit. Don't worry.
Yeah, definitely. So, Lois. Once again, Lois, I just love Lois. Yeah, it was awesome.
She brought me to tears yet again. And again, coming back to the scene when Superman tells her he can't find Jordan and she breaks down. She is so real. Like, that was actually her son that was taken. Bitsy is so fantastic in the emotional scenes. I don't know where she's drawing it from, but it is so believable. It's like you're witnessing something really happened. She's amazing.
Yeah. And we get to see her step up in this episode with her journalism. She steps up and tries to help explain to Smallville why the DOD hasn't left. And I appreciate that because she can share details that Sam can't, even if he doesn't particularly want them to come out.
Yeah.
But yet it still leaves, it's hard because he has to go leave because he's got the threat. He knows the threat's happening. But Lois knows it would be better for the town if he stuck around and explained. And that balance of the expectations on him and just how she tries to manage that, and it's just rough.
Well, and I think she's kind of like stuck in this awkward middle between being a good soldier like her dad raised her and knowing that some things need to be kept quiet and not for the public's ears, and then being her reporter to the people, like Chrissy reminds her of. That's her alter ego, and making sure the people get the truth and not the covered up normal stuff that they would get. It is a very hard and fine line that she's walking, and if she sways either way, people catch her on it, and I can't imagine the stress she's under a lot of times during these situations.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how tough it is in Smallville with businesses closing and things like that. And Chrissy just brings it home to Lois because she shares that basically the town's going under and the paper is too, unless she sells it to a conglomerate. Yeah. And it just really hits home that it's so rough because even Lois can't, her draw of being a reporter there can't save the paper.
No, and that's an unfortunate situation, and I feel bad for what's going on in Smallville, and I feel bad for what's going on with Chrissy, but I'm feeling a little bit, I don't know if uncomfortable is the word, I'm feeling a little underwhelmed with Chrissy's role this season. I think they need to give her more depth, because the moments we are getting with her, it kind of seems a bit of a dramatic call for attention. That seems to be the moments they're giving her. It's like, oh, I'm the one that's good, that's shutting down the paper, or I'm the one that's going to yell at Lois because nobody yells at Lois. That's going to be me. There's just these weird moments. I'm feeling a little bit off with her development right now. So I hope they find a way to bring her in a little bit better instead of every 3 or 4 episodes and then she just gets this one big moment.
Well, yeah, she's going to be a regular next season, so I think that's going to help it and give her more time in the story to see. Like you said, it's been her at the paper and her investigating. We haven't seen anything of her life personally to invest us in her, and so hopefully with making her a regular next season, we can get some of that.
That's an excellent way to put it. We've got nothing to be invested in because we don't know who she is other than she works at the paper.
Right.
Now, I have this weird thought because they keep showing us how small Smallville is, and they just expressed in this episode, we're a tiny paper. We only have a few subscribers. It seems like their office to me is really, really big. For how much they keep trying to tell us how small everything is, they're in a big office for a newspaper for one person to be running it.
Well, that's true, and I wondered about that, and I wondered the same thing at the fire department, having friends in the fire department and things like that. That's a pretty big fire department locker room for just a small town like Smallville. So I mean, yes, it's the town is shrunk, but I'm just like, okay, we've got big sets in big locations in this small town.
Maybe they couldn't find a small town fire department. I don't know. They should have went to the town I lived in, Nelson, because that's where. You remember the Steve Martin movie Roxanne?
Oh yeah,
yeah. That was filmed in Nelson, and they used our Nelson's firehouse for that whole scene because he has to walk up the big steep hill to always get back to the fire station. That was in my town. Nelson is like a little tiny mini San Francisco. It's built on the mountain, so they should have used that. It would have been more acceptable as a small town fire because, like you said, it looked like there was lockers for 20 guys in there, and you can't have that big a fire department for a small town. They probably only need 6 of you.
Yeah,
I would imagine. But now something else about Lois here. I found it funny that when they're in Metropolis and all hell is breaking loose and they start attacking and the everything's collapsing, it's bad on the cops' part when Edge and Larr are doing that. Lois is the one that grabs the megahorn and tells everyone, everybody get to cover, get underground, go inside. And the cops are just standing there looking around, and then they react to her. I'm like, boy, those Metropolis cops don't know what's going to just... Lois just showed you up.
I know. At first, I thought the guy that she was talking with was a police guy. And so, okay, that makes more sense. But then we find out that he's, a news producer. And, so she goes from there and steps up and gets to play the big-time reporter again and help save Metropolis. She's... going up on the roof, risking her life there, and being on camera, and I like that fact that she's stepping up and being that reporter that the city obviously needs.
Yeah, and I mean that scene that you're talking about, I like that. I like that the teens are getting to see her as kind of a brave, kick-ass kind of lady. That is really cool. But that moment, the big takeaway for me. This episode, and probably the biggest hold my breath moment, was that ominous holy crap deja vu timing of when she's on the rooftop and we see the scene playing out. We're like, oh, and you're putting your hands over your face like it's coming to life, it's happening again, right. And you see Larr rise up behind her, and oh my god, that was too close for my heart to take, because I really thought something was going to happen there. Maybe the hit misses or something, like we're going to see Lois get hurt. I had no idea, but I did not expect that hammer to come flying, because that was like a Mach 1. It hit her so hard and so fast. You just, whoa, that was awesome.
Yeah, all of Iron's work has paid off, and
totally.
I love, we'll talk about it, but he's like, I never missed, and I'm like, well, thank goodness, because Lois would have been toast if you did.
Totally. Oh yeah, Lois toast, man. It was a moment. That was the moment of the episode. I think for me, the most dramatic and kind of feeling that it gave me. Like, wow.
I agree. Yep. It was so heartbreaking just having the boys watching while it was going on and them realizing, okay, this is going to happen just like it played out, except, it's Larr instead of their dad. So it's like, oh.
And it's their mom now, yeah. Oof. Yep.
All right, talking about the boys, let's talk about Jonathan. He's really looking for his place in Smallville and within the family. And I think if he thinks that if he spends enough time with Irons, he can learn to be a protector like him, maybe, get some of that engineering and weapons use and things like that, and he can find his place, because he's not like his mom being the reporter. So I think he wants to be a little more active and be on the battlefield like a quarterback wants to be. So I like that.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, like a quarterback. And I mean, we've brought this up before in previous episodes. Irons is the one that he can relate to and feel that he can be like, because he doesn't have superpowers. He doesn't have anything. So why not learn from the guy that he is most like and can relate to? Because he's just a normal guy. And, there's stuff that Irons can teach him. It makes perfect sense. And, at least at that, in that scene, because I was expecting Clark to maybe get a little bit jealous, maybe, like, why is my son hanging out with this other man so much?
Yeah.
But, Clark's too good for that, I guess.
Yeah. So later on, they're at the party, and he reconnects with Tegan. And I was really leery about this. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And we find out that, yeah, she was using him before, but there were some reasons behind it. And we get some insight, and I did do some digging, but it finds out she and her mom moved to Smallville 2 years ago. So they're new to Smallville too. And they moved because her dad was locked up in Central City.
Oh.
So I did some digging with that, with her last name, and I found a villain with the Arkham storyline, so it's not really Flash, but it's more Batman, of a character with that name who killed his mom. So it's not a direct tie, so that I could find. So I was looking, okay, was her dad somebody Flash locked up that we no, well, it doesn't look like it. But so she is new to the town too, and is really connecting with Jonathan, and I can see a little bit more. It's a little more deep, but she did use him, and so that's a little rough.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about her story as she was saying it and telling us it, but it came off much more sincere this time, and maybe that'll lead to John having a girlfriend of his own. Will allow him to feel like he fits in more, and it'll make him more comfortable, more happy to be there. The new kid gets the popular girl. I mean, that's a great story, right? It's totally, It reminds me of Footloose when Kevin Bacon first strolls in the town. Who's he end up with? The most popular school in his town. So, it's that type of ending. But like you're saying, she's from Central City, and her dad went to jail under strange circumstances, it sounds like. So who is she and who is her dad? There might not be a connection in the comic books, but maybe the Flash kind of offhandedly had something. Maybe this is a real back-end, crossover story that they're trying to weave in just for fun. I don't know, because she definitely seemed like she's leaving out details. She was very back offish and she looked uncomfortable saying it. So something strange has happened around her dad, and I'm gonna leave a spot open for her in my beware of category of thoughts.
Right.
Depending on who her dad turns out to be.
Yeah. Trust but verify. We'll see how things play out.
Yep.
But that will more than likely be next season.
Yeah.
So Jordan, he and Sarah have become really close over the last 3 weeks. And they both obviously want her family to stay and are upset when it looks like they're leaving. And it was a little cute thing. I forgot to put it in the notes here, but I love the fact that he kind of slips up a little bit and hears Clark and his mom and her mom talking, and kind of mentions that and kind of covers for it. But it was just cute. So anyway.
Young love, how fast it develops, that infatuation with each other. It just within 3 weeks, sure, that's the way it happens. It's kind of funny, but like you said, he slips up there while on the back deck saying he heard what they were talking about, and she catches it. She's like, "What? How did you hear that?" But she quickly brushes it aside. Now, what this tells me going forward is that he's going to slip up again, and maybe even again. And she's going to figure something out. I think it's going to come to that point where he screws up and she figures it out, and he's going to have to tell her, and then he's going to have to tell his parents. Sarah knows.
Well, and the thing about it is, she was left questioning a lot of things after they were steamrolled by Edge there in the car,
Yes.
and wondering why he took Jordan. So I think she's going to add those things up. She's a smart cookie, so we'll
That's right.
see how long it takes.
That's right. She's no dummy. And I mean, they fired a kryptonite gun in front of her, and there's just a lot that happened there. You're right. I think she's going to start figuring things out. Whether that leads back to Lana and Kyle to know as well, I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of don't see that, but we'll see.
I have a feeling, like, do you remember in the Superman 2 movie with Christopher Reeve when they're on their honeymoon in Niagara Falls, and she doesn't know he's Superman yet, and they're up in the honeymoon suite, and he falls into the fire, and that's the moment that she's like, oh, you're Superman. I wonder if we're going to get something like that. Jordan's going to mess up like that somehow, and that's when she's going to realize, you're different.
Yeah, exactly. So, but unfortunately, Jordan is targeted by the Eradicator, and he whisks him off to some place that Superman can't hear, and the Eradicator sends all that energy into him, and he is taken over. I'm just wondering if his love for his family and for Sarah are going to be strong enough to help him break free, or we're going to have to see him getting punched down like Irons did for Soups in order for it to start breaking through. I just don't know.
That was the second biggest moment of this episode, because holy man, I did not see that coming at all. That him becoming TL166 in the end. Are you kidding me?
I know.
That decrepit old man gets to inhabit a young teenage body again. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But what I'm curious about is, does TL166's soul bring more power to Jordan, or does it just wake up the rest of Jordan's abilities? Like, I'm curious about that. Which way, or if any, is it going to happen?
Yeah, I really wonder about that as well. I'm wondering if what's going to happen, there. I'm wondering. I'm looking down to see if I put this in my notes later on.
You may have brought it up. Sorry,
but I am really wondering if when he is freed, if it's going to leave his powers boosted.
Yeah, that's along the lines of what I'm asking. Yeah. What?
Yeah, I wonder if that's going to happen, so that he is closer to his dad than he was before. I just don't know. That's it. It will be a interesting thing to see if he's maybe he still has the same level of powers, but he's better at handling it because he knows how it's done. At least from a back seat, he's seeing how it's done. But I don't know. We'll see.
And then we have a Superboy on our hands.
Yeah, exactly.
But like you're saying, will his powers stay awake afterwards, or will they go back to where he was? I just can't imagine it doing that. He's either going to learn from it, or it's going to awaken his powers, or he's going to be enhanced because of it. There's so many ways, but it all comes to the same conclusion. I think this is going to bring him more power, no matter how they get there.
Right.
And then the next question I had is Sarah going to witness him having these powers? Because right now he's a bad guy. We don't know what he's going to do, but is Sarah going to see him being a bad guy? And will that be enough for her to understand why he was taken? I don't know.
I don't know, because even at that, we've got these seemingly regular people being taken over that she's seen in Smallville, and then on the news in Metropolis being taken over and having powers.
Yeah.
But yeah, why choose Jordan? So yeah, I don't know. Lots of questions.
Unless she connects, I'm sure she knows that Lois and Edge are at each other. Maybe she's like, oh, he's getting after Lois or something. She might think that. I don't know.
Could be. So talking about the Cushings, they have their house up for sale. They've had some showings. Kyle is looking for jobs. And I like that they both get separate wake-up calls. We talked about the wake-up call that Lana got earlier from Clark, where she starts to question things. And we get the wake-up call from Tamara for Kyle. And it's really good to see that people in the town really appreciate them and appreciate what they've done. It's not the whole town, but at least there are some strong connections reaching out to them.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that point. I have to say, though, I was a little bit annoyed with Tamara this episode because last time we saw her, she was with the guys that were in the diner that were ripping on Kyle and giving him the jabs. And she didn't step in to help or to defend him back there. She just stood there and was quiet. So now only when they're all busy and not around does she come to say, hey, I got your back. To me, it's like a little too late there. You let your team stomp all over him and you didn't say anything. It kind of is a little bit cowardice to me and not cool. But if Kyle did this much for you, you should have stepped in. You should have stepped up and done a little bit better. I mean, the job reference, sure, it's nice, but I don't think it makes up for you not being the friend that you should have been in the moments he needed you.
Yeah, I just feel like maybe, and I agree with what you're saying, I just feel like maybe we get her insight to the fact that it was hard for a woman to come on and even a black woman to come on, and she's dealing with that. Mm-hmm. You're living in an environment of so much, you're walking on eggshells and having to do that. But yeah, I really wish she would have stepped up. I mean, she said that she wanted the two of them to fight together, but I agree. I wish she would have stood up. But I still see things a little bit from her point of view as well.
Oh yeah, that totally makes sense. I'm just me being like a friend. Loyalty is the most important thing to me. Oh, so sure. I just don't think she was loyal to him when he needed her. Then it's so yeah, wishy-washy, but.
But, the rough thing is we see them both questioning, but as soon as he gets the call about the job offer, they're just like, okay, we're going.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
it was just so frustrating.
They're going through, they're getting desperate. They're going through a rough time. It's been weeks now. That was the only light that shone for them at the end of the tunnel. There wasn't a savior in Smallville. There wasn't anything coming their way. So as soon as they get this big beacon of hope that, hey, we can go and start again, I think they just jumped on it because it's, nothing did that for them coming from Smallville. But we'll see. We'll see if they go through with it. I have a feeling they won't. Something's going to keep them in Smallville.
Yeah. I mean, Sarah gives them a harsh talking to. And yes, it's a lot of teen drama, but I think it's what they needed to hear. Now, I agree. I'm going to let you speak, Flash, but I agree with you. Speak on.
If that was when I was a child or if she was my kid, I'm sorry to say, parenting these days has gotten too slack. She would have gotten a slap across the mouth for that kind of talk. She's only 14. You do not tell your parents that you're stupid and to shut up. That I don't like the lack of respect from kids these days towards their parents, their adult, any authority figures. It's just, I think they're getting away with it nowadays. So when I see this on TV, there's no justification for me on this one. I just can't abide by that. No, because they just let her walk. I would have been, heck no, man. You are now grounded until the end of summer or whatever you do not talk to your parents like that. That is ultimate disrespect. For a 14-year-old, if she was in her 20s or something, okay, you're an adult now, you've got a little more life experience, you can express, but she doesn't know nothing. Like, come on.
Yeah. I don't know. I agree with you that that's the wrong way to go about it, and I agree that they should have done something, but they needed to hear it. So I was happy that they heard it, but not just particularly in the way that they heard it.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. They needed that. They needed to slap themselves, but, could have come from a different way. Anyway, right. I just get irked when I see kids talk to their parents like that and no punishment.
Oh, I totally agree. Totally agree. But I want to dig into Sam a bit in this episode because we've seen a lot of changes with Sam through this season, and he's upset because he's getting reamed by the paper and he can't give a full answer because he's protecting his family. He just can't win. The public want to tar and feather him and run him out of town.
Yeah.
And he can't really fully justify it because he knows it's going to come back to the Kents. So I just appreciate that he's just so frustrated here because he can't win either way.
Well, he's under the gun from all sides this time, and it wasn't fair to him. Like, I actually felt bad for Sam this time. They actually got me to feel, oh, poor guy. Like, this is awful. What he's stuck in right now is an awful situation. And I mean, he handles it. I can't imagine that the stress on him from having to deal with that. But I thought he had the best line when Lois was going off the rails and being unfair to him. Which that little moment for Lois, I was like, "Come on, Lois, you're better than this." But that line when he tells her, "Well, which is it? Because whichever way I choose, I'm always wrong with you. I just can't win." And he had such a good point there. She never lets off and never gives him a chance. She annoyed me in that scene, and he was totally right. Like, I can't win with you. You're either digging me for this or you're mad at me for that, no matter which way I go. So I love that he said that.
But he is about his family, and I appreciate that he realizes the mistakes that he made with Lois growing up, and he is going to be there for his grandboys. And he goes and gets them and Sarah from the party, and I love that he's so on mission. He doesn't even break up the party. He's just like, I'm here for the kids.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And I just love how when he first arrives, everyone just shut up and they were all scared. The looks on their faces, they're all scared of him. I thought that's hilarious.
Yeah. And we're getting to the end here. John Henry. Mm-hmm. I appreciate the work that he's putting in. He's working on upgrading his hammer, and it comes in really handy in this episode.
Oh, you mean he's working on Mjolnir? The long handle version?
Yeah.
It is a bit of a Thor ripoff, but it's still so cool. I mean, that double takeout when he threw it across the city and hit Larr to save Lois. I just didn't even see it. He's facing the guy in the park, and he throws the hammer right past him. The guy's like, "Ha, you missed." He had it all planned out. Whatever he's got programmed in that thing, it seems like he's got a targeting system and can do.
Right.
It's really, really cool, and it was so awesome because when it flew back and hit the guy in the back of the head, I don't know. I love. This is comic violence, but I love it when it's this vicious and this hard, and it's like, yes, it's awesome.
Yeah. So it was really cool seeing him in the battle scenes. But we also got to see him in a more personal way when he's talking to John in the bar. We hear him talking about Nat again, and it sure sounds like she was dead before he left the world. We still don't have full confirmation because he says she spent the last 2 weeks in hiding. I'm just still unsure, but it sure sounds like it.
Yeah, because then you think of the scenes that we saw. He's then leaving the planet to escape, and and that's when Superman's chasing after him, hitting his ship, and that's when he goes through the portal.
Right.
So, is he leaving because the city is destroyed? Because we know that Metropolis got burnt to the ground by all those Kryptonians. He said, what did he say? 7 minutes it was destroyed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So. I just feel like Nat didn't survive. There's nothing for him to go back to anymore. I believe not only Metropolis, but at the moment that he's leaving, it seems like he can't save this world, so he's out of there. I mean, I think he was leading Superman because he was going to shoot the red missile that was going to, incapacitate him, but other things happened. So yeah, it's maybe we'll get a little bit more. I don't know if we'll get any more of John's story back on his Earth or not.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering is it just the regret of Nat's loss that is causing him to push John away, or is it something more? Is there something more involved?
I know. Why is he being so harsh on John? I didn't think that was cool or called for. John's just looking for a friend and wanting to learn. We didn't see the build up to this. This just kind of came out of nowhere a little bit that Irons was this harsh with him. So something's obviously bothering him, and he just took it out on Jonathan. And I don't think it has anything to do with Jonathan. So yeah, there's something going on there.
Yeah, I mean, there's regret, like I said, because Nat was helping him with the armor and things like that, and he's like, I'm not going to do that again. But it just seems like there's more than that. But maybe there's not. I just don't know.
Yeah. All I know is it wasn't poor John's fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, with this stuff happening, that's probably why he's going to fall towards Tegan. She's being nice to him, and he's got nobody else to go to right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, time to get to the baddies.
The baddies.
We've got Morgan Edge soaking up all that solar energy, and I'm thinking, like, is he been soaking up solar energy for 3 weeks? Because like we see him still struggling with it at the beginning, and still kind of fighting, not wanting to give in, but he ends up absorbing it all, and it doesn't seem like he is in control anymore, that he is gone pretty much, and it's the living Eradicator now, and he's on mission. He's freeing Larr, and his powers are just so bumped up. We get to see that shield. We get to see him basically transferring the Kryptonians to other humans at will.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, what can stop him now? I mean, he's just so powerful.
Oh, I mean, what a way to start an episode. It's cool that it takes place seconds after the last episode ended and then goes to the 3 weeks later montage.
Yeah.
So, but it's so crazy, and I like it. It's new and it's different. It's not Brainiac. It's not Lex Luthor. It's not Doomsday. It's something we've never seen. And
right.
Yeah, and absorbing that much power from the sun is definitely one way to one-up Superman. What, like you said, how are we going to stop him right now? It's because they flew at him and just bounced off him like it was nothing.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, the process of turning people to Kryptonians, it seems to take a little bit. I mean, he's sitting there blasting them from his hands with this wavy power. So I'm thinking he maybe hasn't gotten that many citizens yet, but we don't know how many he's got. It's been 3 weeks, so was he at the sun for 3 weeks, or did he fly back in the last week or the last few days, and he's been running around getting as many Kryptonians as he can? I don't know. It just seems like it takes a few moments for the process to happen. That I'm not sure of. And then what can stop him if Superman can't even get past that force barrier thing? I mean, will heat vision get through? I doubt it. Maybe kryptonite?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because he did avoid the bullet that Jonathan shot at him from the car. He flew out of there before it hit him. So is that still a possible weakness? Because it is Kryptonians. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're going to have to find something other than green kryptonite. Maybe a different type of kryptonite that will maybe loosen the bonds or something like that. I just don't know. Yeah. But even though he seems to be the living Eradicator, he's got those memories, because he's got this anger and bitterness at Kal, and he attacks Superman's city and attempts to take out Lois. He kidnaps Jordan. I'm just like, how much of him is in there? I don't know.
yeah, I mean, is that Edge? We don't know. I mean, that they pretty much tell us that's not him anymore, because Superman looked at him with his X-ray vision, and then he says that's no longer Edge. So why would he have personal vendettas against Kal unless there is an Edge soul within him mixed with all those other souls, and maybe they're reading each other, they learned from him immediately. Oh, Kal is our mortal enemy, let's go. It's got to be something along those lines, whether it's Edge or not. They definitely learnt from taking over his body and his mind that, yeah, this is the guy we got to go after.
Yeah, he's this Earth's true protector, and
yeah.
Since we don't have Supergirl on the show, he's he's the one Kryptonian that they need to take down. So I don't know, but we'll see. But we talked about this. He puts his dad inside of Jordan, and I wondering. This is where I brought up. Is Jordan going to be more powerful? And I'm wondering if he put his dad inside Jordan because he knew he was half Kryptonian, and it would give his dad more of an advantage and more powers than putting himself inside just a normal human.
Yeah, that's a good thing to wonder about. If they knew that, I mean, I think Edge knew that before. He knew his son had powers, right?
Yeah, because he did the heat vision.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they face each other. So that's why there's got to be lingering stuff there that the Eradicator knows that now. So there's got to be something there. But the old man is young again, and he's younger than his son, because Morgan is like 50 here. Isn't that a little weird? I mean, I just took over a teenager's body. I'm now younger than you, but I'm going to call you son anyway. I don't know. What I got out of it where he took Jordan was that those were some type of old nuclear silos, which are lead lined or made out of lead, so they're virtually impenetrable. And of course, Superman's senses aren't going to be able to breach there at all, especially from any great distance. So definitely it's nuclear silos. Where in the world he took them, I have no idea, but how is Clark going to find them? I don't know. Well, I guess he might not have to. Now that he's TL166, they're probably going to come looking for him.
Exactly. It's going to be exciting next episode.
Predictions for next episode? How do you think they're going to wrap this up? I mean, it's the finale. What do you think's going to happen?
I don't know. And I have a strong feeling that we are going to see Edge beaten back, and maybe the other Kryptonians are freed from him and it's just Edge, and so he's got to regroup and come back in later seasons. I just don't see them killing off this villain, because I think they are establishing him as one to be reckoned with, and so maybe it's like, okay, we've knocked out all the Kryptonians, so he's back just to his level of power, but he is off licking his wound somewhere and recharging, and season 3 we may see him come back or something like that. But I just don't see a full, okay, we've totally defeated and he's dead at the end of next episode. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, it's what are these writers wanting to do? Are they wanting to make it single season arcs where we have our villain all season and they're able to deal with it by the end and hence start a new chapter for the next season? Or are they establishing, like you said, a villain to last all show long if we get 5, 6, 10 seasons? Is he now the Lex Luthor of this Superman story? Yeah. Which way are these writers going to take it? So, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I'm wondering myself if they're going to somewhat temporarily wrap things up by defeating him, not killing him, but defeating him, or are they going to leave us with a cliffhanger a holy crap cliffhanger where we don't know what the outcome is.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. What are the writers going to do?
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Good discussion. Well, that takes us right into our favorite scenes.
Shape out an eagle!
All right. What you going to kick us off with?
So, first up, I really picked this little scene out because I appreciate the Cushings, and I called this one, "We Can Make Any Place Home." So let's take a listen.
Do you think that we're making a mistake?
What, eating baby backs?
Leaving Smallville? I mean, do you think we're giving up too easily?
Is that what Clark said?
I don't want us to rush into a decision that we're gonna regret later.
I don't think we have much of a choice. Ultron had kind of forced our hand.
Not everybody's out to get us, Kyle.
All right, look. I am very appreciative of everything that the Kents have done for us. They've been solid, but Lana, their friendship isn't going to put food on the table.
I know. It's just hard.
Yeah, I know. But hey, as long as I got you, doesn't matter where we live. Okay, so you and me, we can make any place home. All right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of great scenes in this episode, but I chose this quiet one with the Cushings for a reason. We've talked all season about how this show is a family drama with superpowered people. And this scene really reinforces that. You see the love, the dedication between the two. And they've been at odds with each other and under a ton of stress. But their love and their devotion keeps them going and keeps them pushing through hard times on a united front. And I just really appreciate that.
Yeah, and it, like we've also said it, around your point about this being a family drama, is sometimes when you have the main family of a show and then they try to bring in second or third families that they want us to follow, it doesn't always work. You're like, I don't care about these people. Like, go back to the main family, please. This show has really done well with making us care about the Cushings, and I don't mind watching them at all. I don't mind watching their scenes. It's just part of what's happening in Smallville, and they've done a good job with that, making us care about a family like we care about the Kents, so it's good.
Exactly.
All right, well, I went for the big emotional gut punch of this episode, and I'm
Yes.
calling this one Son Lost.
Lois,
What happened? Where are the boys? Where are the boys?
Edge took Jordan.
No,
I tried following him. It was too late.
no, go find him.
Lois. I looked everywhere. He's gone. He's gone.
What are we gonna do?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, those two. They are amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, such good
It
performance.
was so powerful.
Yeah, I just had to go for that one. I do have a little extra episode here, or extra scene, because Harley's not with us, so I just thought I'd pick a funny one. She seems to like some of the funny quotes. And this one is called, "What Do I Look Like?"
Where the hell am my grandson?
Hey, Grandpa, I was just about to call.
Both of you. In the car, now.
Hey, come on. Hey. Can you, tell us what's happening with Morgan Edge?
Do I look like someone who gets classified intel to drunk teenagers?
Grandpa, we're really sorry.
I don't want to hear it. Let's go.
Can we at least take Sarah home? We've had a really long night.
Of course. Come on.
I mean, obviously, it's the joke. I loved his response. It cracks me up.
Yeah.
But then the last moment of that, though, is when Jordan asks to take Sarah. I think he was about to say, no, we don't have time. But then he looks at the TV to see what they were watching. And he knows his grandson's okay. Yeah, I'm going to take care of your girlfriend, too. Of course. Come on, let's go. And I love that quick little switch for him.
Yeah, I agree. It was great.
Cool stuff, guys. Awesome clips. If you would like to support the show, and we would so appreciate it if you would, this is how you do that.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
If you don't dial, it will cry like a violin.
I don't have a dramatic feedback cue, so we have to go with one of the funny ones. All right, we got some good feedback in tonight. The first one is an email from Comic Geek Kev, and he says, what a week. The return of SNL, Stargirl Season 2 premiere, Marvel's What If on Disney+, new Star Trek this week. Oh, and I guess Legends was on at some point as well. Aw.
And I'm going to jump in 3 powerful episodes of Titan Season 3, too.
Ooh.
So it's been a crazy TV week.
Awesome stuff. So he continues, Superman and Lois, I just can't with this show. I say the same about Legends, but for a totally different reason. Oh, man. This show does such a great job on every level. I think we all knew Larr wasn't going to take out this Lois, but they were able to use the boys' viewing to really build up some tension. And it was great that Irons got to save her instead of Cal. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. He didn't get to save his Lois. He watched it happen on TV. But here, he gets to save Lois. So it's kind of like a bit of redemption in some small way that he saved her this time. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Wow. John has to help next episode after working with Irons, right? Now that he has some more knowledge of the weapons? With Jordan taken over, John needs to step up. Maybe even Sarah. That I love you as he was taken has to get her in deeper. Maybe even into the inner circle of Clark's identity. And I still think Chrissy is going to find out, or Lana. Given their individual relationships with Lois and Clark, that would be some drama. I mean, Clark even specified how long they'd known each other. I have a feeling Lana would be really upset if she finds out that he never told her. I don't know. Or she's going to kick herself for never figuring it out.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm wondering if maybe the compromised Jordan might last into next season. Quite a cliffhanger, if so. And Smallville's troubles don't seem to be going anywhere. Ooh, could Jordan? Yeah, maybe they don't save him in one episode because they... That's a good question because twice now I've been a little bit upset with them with ending the big trouble spots too quickly and too easily. So will they do that again? Save Jordan by the end, or will they carry him forward? That would be a very strong...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Some great effects as always. Had they called Iron's weapon a kinetic hammer before? I don't remember, but that's pretty cool. Waiting impatiently for the finale, I'm giving this 9.8 out of 10 kinetic hammer reboots. Until next time, Comic Geek Kev. I missed the kinetic hammer. I didn't hear that in there. Cool.
Yeah, it was a kinetic hammer before because it stored up that energy, but he's definitely souped it up. So
yeah. Oh yeah, with targeting and everything. So it was cool. Yeah. Awesome stuff, Kev. Next up is Dad L.
Hello, Superfam. Fist-flying action, heart-wrenching drama, evil villain schemes. This episode delivered it all. What a penultimate episode. It seems that the power of Eradicator Edge allows Kryptonians to possess any human, not just residents of Smallville.
That's right.
This makes Edge's previous work make more sense. He was trying to build the Kryptonian army without becoming the Eradicator. Good point. Good point. Yeah. Lois Lane is awesome. She did not hesitate to go live from the rooftop, knowing things were playing out similarly to what had happened on Iron's World. But then it was hammer time. Irons has been a great addition to the show. I once predicted he would sacrifice himself. I believe that is still a possibility. The character of John Henry Irons is named after the folk song John Henry. If you've never read the lyrics, I suggest you do so. So just check those out, and we'll throw a link there in the group to those lyrics. Zeta-Ro possesses Jordan. How evil can you get? I fear Jordan may end up losing his powers once he is freed.
Oh.
Yeah, that's interesting. The fallout between that and losing his girlfriend will be difficult.
Yikes.
Finally, I love the scene where Superman flies up into space to listen to the world. That never gets old. It had a terrible twist this time. He could not find Jordan. I'm excited to see how it all goes down next week. I give this episode 9.75 hammer times. Dad L, the last father of Krypton.
That's crazy. You guys are both giving it real high ratings. Awesome stuff. Yeah. Good stuff. Next up is Perry White.
Hello, Flash and X-Force 11. It's your intrepid reporter friend, Perry White here with feedback for Superman and Lois's The Eradicator, the penultimate episode of Season 1. I'm probably sounding like a broken record, but this was another pulse-pounding, fantastically acted, well-written, nuancedly directed episode. I don't know that I need to give it a rating. It was just pretty damn good, right? I do have one overarching question, obviously going into the last episode with what happened at the end of the episode, and that was obviously TL166, the Eradicator, basically placing his dad's consciousness inside of Jordan. And the question I have is, with so many stakes that have been brought about in Season 1, I'm just wondering, does this show have the guts to do something different than taking us back to the status quo? Obviously, you would expect or anticipate one or two things are going to happen in the finale. Either there's going to be some resolution or there's going to be some significant cliffhanger, but it's ultimately obviously surrounding what's going to end up happening with Jordan. And in most shows you would think, well, okay, they'll find some way for Clark to reach him, and he'll revert back to being Jordan. But I'm just wondering if this show has the guts to do something different. Maybe he can't reach Jordan. Maybe he doesn't revert back. Maybe somehow he winds up with some sort of split personality that he will have to sort of deal with and cope with for the foreseeable future. I don't know, but I'm incredibly interested to watch and see what happens. Like I said, I don't know that I have a whole lot of notes, a whole lot of things to say about this episode, other than it was a wonderful hour of television to watch. It had incredible drama. It had incredible stakes. Even some moments that had nice humor. I thought the pacing was good. It had a nice balance to it. Surely my favorite episode, not my favorite episode, but my favorite moment of the entire episode had to be when Lois obviously took the camera on the rooftop, obviously echoing what happened in John Henry Irons' Earth. And it was so poetic. Obviously, it was such a parallel that he would have the ability to save her when he couldn't in his own world. That was just hands down my favorite scene. I almost sort of wanted to jump up and cheer when that happened. So hands down my favorite scene. I'm pretty sure it was a lot of people's favorite scene. I look forward to hearing what other folks have to say about this episode and where this show goes going forward into the final episode. I'm so incredibly excited to see the finale, but I obviously will be a little bit disappointed that we'll have to wait a few months before we can get to season 2. Fortunately, we have Stargirl to sort of tide us over for a bit. And I don't know how many folks are probably excited about Supergirl, but I am interested in seeing how the show wraps up. So on the bright side, I'll have a few things to occupy my time. On the downside is we're getting to the end of Superman and Lois, that fantastic show. And I'm excited to see how they wrap up season 1 and what we have to look forward in season 2. I've made my deadline one more time. I'll be sending in some Stargirl feedback soon enough. This is Perry White. I'm out.
Awesome, Perry.
Nice.
Yeah, those ideas you had about Jordan, I have no idea which way they can go, but split personality and holy, yeah, that's a whole new way to look at it.
That's an interesting thought.
And I'm feeling disappointed in myself that I did not make the connection about Iron saving Lois on this Earth. I can't believe that went over me. You guys are awesome for catching that. Good stuff. Next up is Dreamweaver.
Hello, Super Fam. Dreamweaver here with feedback on Superman and Lois, episode 14, the penultimate episode of season 1, The Eradicator. I'm giving this 9 deja vu moments out of 10. Man, there was a lot thrown at us this episode. Smallville is effectively falling apart, all the businesses are closing, the Gazette is about to go under, the whole town is dying because of the fallout from Edge. The town is in an uproar, tensions high, continued family drama, and some major deja vu and stakes in this one. In the beginning, Clark said the name of the hardware shop in town was called Teague Hardware, which is the last name of one of the football players, I believe, but I wonder if that is also a Smallville reference by chance, to the Teague family in season 4, notably Jason Teague, played by Jensen Ackles. So Tegan Wickerham, the girl talking to Jonathan. I still don't trust her, even if I want to give her the benefit of the doubt to her backstory, but she still feels awfully manipulative right now. She said she moved from Central City because her dad was sent to prison. That last name doesn't line up with any Flash villains we've had, but I wonder if she or her father could be metas, and there's more than meets the eye there. You don't think they would actually send the Cushings off after one season, do you? It was back and forth in this episode on them moving, with Kyle getting the job offer and them having an offer on the house, but also Tamara reminding Kyle to fight for his position. I don't want them to go. I wonder if there's more there with who put the offer on the house, or if that's simply just an inconspicuous detail. That town hall meeting was just the perfect storm. Talk about a recipe for disaster. They really had no chance of calming anyone down. The DOD staying secretive and not being able to share about what's really going on, Lois feeling divided and conflicted on what she can tell, but also wanting to protect her family since they are directly involved, and then Derek Powell's mom showing up demanding answers just as Metropolis is attacked. Gosh, that looked so bad for them.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't have been the only one getting a bad feeling of deja vu when Lois arrived on the tower with the camera woman. As soon as I saw her with the camera, I knew exactly where this was heading. The boys knew, everyone knew, and everyone was watching it. They did tee it up pretty well that John Henry was going to get the use of his hammer back, and that twofer sure did knock it out of the park. And a side note to the scene, I only noticed the big GBS logo this episode. I don't know if we've seen that or had reference to that previously in the season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did we see this after Edge bought the Daily Planet? Because GBS, which stands for Galaxy Broadcast System, is the flagship TV station in the DC Comics universe and is typically owned by Morgan Edge. But I only noticed that tower now. Steel and Superman's combined abilities made Kryptonian cleanup not look so hard, but as usual, it was essentially just a distraction. Man, Zeta-Ro has taken over Jordan. I bet the half-human, half-Kryptonian DNA is just a perfect storm for the eradication, resurrection process, considering what we've seen needed for it over the season. And not to mention, this hits Clark where it hurts the most. But how do they turn him back now? Is it like with Clark, how he needed to be reminded of his family and a good knock to the head? Because they can't exactly blast the Eradicator to reverse it this time, can they? Unless they have to kill Edge, which also feels like a possibility, but I don't know how they're getting out of this one. But yikes, I for sure thought that all the kids, Jordan, John, and Sarah, were going to get taken and turned. Could you imagine that? Clark and Lois, and Lana and Kyle all fighting against and for their kids? That would have been a finale. Like, the Cushings would totally have had to find out about Clark's secret. there would have been change all over the place. And I feel like Sarah's got to learn something next episode, if not the adult Cushings. I feel like Sarah isn't getting out of the season without learning the secret about the Kents. I have a feeling there's going to be a good bit of fallout from this season/season finale into season 2. I'll hold my opinion for the season as a whole until after I see if they stick the landing, but this has been a doozy of a first season so far, and I want to see what this opens up for season 2. I'm also going to put this out there now, but I don't think John Henry's Earth is completely gone. Maybe destroyed by that Kryptonian army, yeah, but maybe not totally gone. I just have this feeling that Natalie may still be alive and may show up. I also want to see the hammer go all Mjolnir for John, and if someone needs to whack Jordan to save him, I want it to be his brother. He did pick it up once already. But regardless, next week's finale has a lot to live up to, I feel. It's set a lot of high expectations. Can it stick the superhero landing? We shall see. That's all for now. Until next time, your friend, Dreamweaver.
Well, as often as they like to show Superman landing in his superhero pose, I don't see why they can't, but the only thing I'm worried about is they wrap it up too fast and too easy, and I just hope they don't do that.
Yeah.
But speaking of superhero landings, one other point I forgot, I thought it was kind of funny. When Superman and Irons show up at the park in the city and they walk through the crowd, they're just standing at the edge of the park, looking at Larr, looking at Edge. They look like they're maybe 50, 60 feet away. And then the next time we come back to them, they have to fly and do the superhero landing to land in front of Larr. You're only... Why didn't you just walk up to them to face her? It's like they took off and then they landed, and it's like a jump, I guess. I thought that was kind of funny. Did you guys forget where you ended the last scene there? Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
But she mentions that kid's mom that shows up at the town hall in the end. Totally forgot about that. That's something worth talking about. Like they brought her back. I had totally forgot because I thought she kind of believed in what everything happened. There's that weird. The last time we saw her, she was defending her son, and nope, I'll take care of him. And now she's mad that Edge caused his death and all this. So she wants answers, and that's great. It's a great tie back to episode 2 or 3 of the show.
Yeah, exactly.
So will that storyline continue? Will they get answers for her? Because I mean, great acting on that actress's part. She was really, really upset that they were leaving without giving her answers.
Yeah, definitely. It was strong, and I liked how they're tying it back. So that was good.
Yeah. Excellent thoughts, everybody. As always, you guys are the best. So if you want to join them, especially next week for the big finale, we would love to have a huge feedback section for the finale, because it's going to be a few months before we get to talk Superman again. So if you want to do that, just follow these instructions.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to Tomorrow's Legends Podcast at gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Legends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/Tomorrow's Legends and become part of the community.
So, X-Force, I'm going to put you on the spot with a question.
Okay.
You're now podcasting with us full time, and you hear all this great feedback that you used to be part of. Are you missing it? Which do you prefer? Getting to podcast after every week, or getting to leave us awesome feedback?
It depends on the show.
Okay.
But no, I do really enjoy podcasting on things, but I do get plenty of time to leave feedback for you on The Mandalore, for stuff about Star Trek and some other shows. So and on Superman or Supergirl. So I get my feedback filled, but I do enjoy podcasting. So some shows more than others.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, we really appreciate you having you here, and we've been around for a long time together, all the way since the beginning Aero Squad days. So it's just fun to have you here and have you sharing the spotlight and getting to share your thoughts on a regular basis. So it's really, really cool.
Blast.
That's all we got for you guys this week. Finale, Stargirls tomorrow. It's The Flash signing off.
This is X-Force 11. So say we all.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network.